What is up? Welcome to the Next Guy podcast. We have a full weekend of football to break down for you today. We have a lot of topics, some other sports as well. We had some fun stuff happen today in the NFL. We had a couple of wild endings. The college slate was a little bit chalky, but we still had some fun games go down, some near upsets. We will break all that down. We're gonna talk about the playoffs a little bit. Things are starting to shape up. The picture is becoming clearer for the podcast or for the playoff race. And so we will talk some playoffs today. Boys, how we doing? Feel good?
Feeling good, feeling great.
Feeling
Got
good
a
and
bunch
great.
of Taco Bell over here on my plate.
Oh,
there you go.
I'm a rapper, if you guys didn't know.
But he's not a rapper.
But I'm not a rapper.
Are you going to quote Eminem in your post game?
Electric.
Yeah, your guys' guy did that.
That was my favorite moment of the day.
Absolutely.
Jameis Winston quoting Eminem in his post game conference or on the field. They were asking some questions, and he was just like, to quote my guy Eminem, and he was like, I think he wanted to make like a city connection, but he's like, yeah, he's from down the street in Detroit. I was like,
you're in Cleveland, buddy.
Shout out to Jameis. What a big win for my boy. Tins is still he's a hater.
I don't know what this
I'm
is
not
about.
a hater.
Yeah.
You guys, okay. Here's my thing about Jameis Winston. He had a great game today. That's fine.
Great
That's
game.
awesome.
Yep.
The Ravens were missing 3 of their 4 starting defensive backs. That's whatever, you know?
Details.
I just think people forget how bad Jameis Winston as a starting NFL quarterback was. That's all. There's this revisionist history because Jameis comes in like once a year and lights it up because he is a gunslinger. He does not care about throwing picks. And eventually this will catch up to him. Nope. But everyone's just like, oh, Jameis Winston's the backup quarterback. He can be better than half the starters in the league.
Could be.
No, he couldn't. He
looked like it today.
Yeah, it could be. Look at the stats. First time the Browns have been over 20 points this whole season.
Sure.
Coincidence?
I
think not.
Well, because Deshaun Watson's terrible.
I saw a meme real quick where it was like the coach was like, all right, get us down to field goal range. We'll run the clock out and kick the field goal. And he's like, nah, I'm going to throw it up to Cedric Tillman for 55 yards.
After he threw like a 95% of the time, been an interception past the platform.
Yeah, exactly. Like the safety dropped. Yeah, exactly. That defensive back catches the ball. We're not doing this right now.
I made this point to Tins. No one's saying that he is an incredible quarterback talent. What is he though? He's maybe the greatest locker room guy in the NFL. Could you imagine 100%. A guy you'd ever have in your locker room? Hyping the boys up.
I shared like this.
Tim Tebow, Jameis Winston, peak locker room guys.
Yep. I shared a video of him talking up the players, and he's like, do it for the logo on your helmet. Oh, yeah, we don't have decals on our helmet. And he's like laughing to himself. He's
That's
like,
so funny.
Represent the name on the jersey, and then he's like the decal on the helmet. Oh wait, we don't have decals because we're the Browns. Are they the only team that doesn't have a decal on their helmet?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's funny awesome. That it happened to be the one team that he's on. You could have said that at any other NFL team that he was on, but
it would have worked.
It would have worked.
He's an incredible locker room guy, better than Deshaun Watson, who is just the worst starter in the NFL by a wide margin this year. And he had a big dub today. He won. And you always have that bounce. I think we're seeing it more and more where the first game there's a bump. I mean, people have been doing it for a long time. It's not just like a trend, I don't think, but it's like same thing happened with Texas A&M. We'll talk about it. They put Marcel Reed in, you get a bump. Or
I agree that Winston coming in was probably a good spark. The team rallied around him. He's a guy you can rally around. I don't know if people really liked playing. I don't know if they like playing with Deshaun Watson as their quarterback or not. I'm not going to answer that for him, but we'll see what happens. We'll see where the Browns stand in 2 weeks. How about that?
Challenge accepted.
He's walking into a situation where the expectations are so low. It's just like,
granted, he could go on a little run here. He plays the Chargers and then the Saints. They're both bad.
Could be.
Yeah.
And then
Comeback
the
player of the
Steelers.
year potential.
No.
Mason
What'd
and
you
I
guys
have
get that
comeback
at?
player of the year.
Plus
5,000.
5,000. Yep.
Looking better
What's
now.
it today after the game, Mason?
They still have them closed because the games are still going on.
Oh, I thought you saw on the website he was plus 8,000 now.
I think that
That was
was an
old.
old article. There's no way it dropped after his game today. He got a win. Let's see. Let me see what I took it. $2.20 to pay out $110. Comeback player of the year.
Good. Pretty good.
Should have bet more.
My take on Jameis Winston is I think after his NFL career, he would be the most electric high school football coach in the nation. He's a great motivator of people. He can just put a good staff around him, but can you imagine that being a head coach in high school? He can motivate the next generation. I think that's something that is important to him. I don't know. I think that would be awesome. I want that.
He's going to be on TV for sure.
You think? I don't know.
He'll get one of these like pregame.
He's kind of wild though.
Analyst jobs.
Speaking of analyst jobs,
I don't know if he's media ready.
This is just a little bit random here, but we're here for it on the Next Guy Up podcast. Do you guys enjoy listening to Tony Romo? Because he has something to say about every little play that happens. I was watching the game today, and it's just like, he took a sack, and he was like, if he would have stepped 2 feet over to the left and avoided that defensive, like he was literally like, he would say all these things like he's the perfect, like, if that offensive lineman would have just stepped back a half inch faster, he would have been prepared for the defensive lineman, like things like that. He was like saying stuff like that the whole game. I was like, wow, he's nitpicky, and he like breaks this apart like it's like science.
Like he was really good.
That too.
I think there's some revisionist history there too. Tony Romo's pretty mediocre for his whole career.
Like that's a
Hater
take as well. But Hater Tins is back. No, I just didn't know if you all watched it, enjoyed. I feel like
Hater Tins never left.
Never left. When he first started, everybody was like, "Wow, it's nice to get a football like somebody that can actually break this down." And now I'm like, "Wow, he's really annoying about it. Every single play, he's like." And he should have held on to that ball, Jim, or he wouldn't have had the fumble. I'm like, no joke. I don't know. It's just, there's my take.
I don't know. I think play-by-play guys are all kind of bad.
Tom
I was
Brady?
watching the Jags game today, and Brian Thomas Jr. didn't have a catch in the whole first quarter. And then we throw him a little screen pass, and the announcer goes, I really like how they're getting him involved today. They're really getting him in the ball a lot. Hey, idiot, that's the first time you touched the ball. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you stupid? Like, you can't even keep up with what's going on.
What if the three of us, what if that was like a punishment we did? Or maybe not a punishment. Like, what if we tried to do announcing for an entire game of football?
Like we had the mics.
I think we could put up a better product than some of this.
Like
there's a lot of times I'll say something before they say it, like something that happens in the play, and then they'll say it, and I go, I already said that, idiot.
Megan tells that to me, usually about like reactions to things, but like she'll be like, it'll happen a lot where I'll say something and Megan's like, and then they say it around the screen. She's like, how did you just know that they were going to say that? I was like, I don't know. Listening to the broadcast,
ball.
maybe.
We know ball.
Yeah,
that too.
Clearly it was a hold. Or I'll see a hold on the screen, and then you see the flag fly after that, and it's like, there you go.
Knew it. I'm telling you, I think that, and because of TV deals, it'll never happen. But if you could create an app where people could watch, like just sync up normal human beings like us commentating games, there's something there.
That's what I'm saying. Well, so back in the day, I don't know if other people do this. I know it was very, very common. John Ward was the voice of the Vols for a long time, and he was beloved. Like he was at the very, very top of everyone's list of favorite announcers. And so he did the radio broadcast, and it was very common practice in Tennessee for people to mute the TV and put the radio on and just let John Ward talk over the game instead of. And I don't know how well it synced up typically. I don't know if it was perfect. But that was very common, I know, back then. And then, like, back in the day, people would even go to this would go to the games and like put their radios on and listen to
Yeah,
John Ward's call like during like at the
while they're
stadium.
watching it. Yeah,
Which people do that in other sports, I know, but that was
I would
pretty common
say
because everyone loved John Ward.
TV's pretty delayed. It also matters like where you're watching it too, because like
Mm-hmm.
I'll get on Twitter and be like, "Oh, Twitter's about 2 plays ahead of me right now. I need to
Streaming
get
is
off."
very hard with it.
Yeah,
It's very tricky sometimes. I know there's a pretty famous video of the Tennessee Alabama game whenever 2 years ago, and there was a big watch party outside the stadium, and so there was people at that watch party filming, and so it was like for the last field goal, and so they saw the fireworks in the stadium, and it was maybe like 10 seconds, and then it showed on the screen later. So it even showed how much it was late even then. That's pretty cool though. Okay, so we did have, speaking of fireworks, we had some fireworks around sports this weekend, and that was kind of my thought. We had a extra it wasn't extra innings, grand slam in the World Series.
Yep.
Walk off. Wild stuff. And then we had a Hail Mary happen today in the NFL. Both were wild plays. And so I kind of wanted to get some thoughts from the people here. We've kind of had this conversation a little bit. The most like electric moments in sports. Because I think sometimes, well, we can talk about it. So I guess nominations would be walk-off, home run. It would be Hail Mary, maybe to end the game. I guess there's an option for a game-winning field goal as well. That's kind of less climactic typically. You have like a 3 at the buzzer, potentially.
That one's tough to beat.
I don't know what the hockey equivalent is, like a last-second shot.
Or shootout.
Shootout, win. Soccer, same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that walk-off grand slam environment was pretty insane. I mean, that's obviously in the World Series, so it's a little bit of a different vibe.
Different.
Even for like a regular baseball game, though, like a walk-off home run is still pretty exciting. Yeah. Just because of how hard it is to hit a home run, like, and the added pressure of World Series, you're losing, bases were loaded. Like that was a pretty electric moment for the Dodgers.
Truly. That was fun. That was fun stuff. I think, and part of my point is I feel like a Hail Mary almost is lesser because it feels like a fluke. It feels like a fluky play.
It does. Especially
it feels like a fake play, kind of like. He just ran around and threw it really high in the sky, and it's like a jump ball.
Yeah. And like today, it bounced. Like they defended it, and it bounced, and he just happened to, like, that was luck. That ball goes forward instead of backwards, like the game's over.
Done.
So I get that it's all luck and just timing. There wasn't much skill there, but you go from like having zero faith, like everybody watching that game was like, oh, this game's over. They're just throwing it up. Like nobody. So you go from having like zero hope to holy crap, we just won the game. Where I feel like a buzzer beater or even a walk-off, you still have quite a bit of hope. You're like, okay, I feel like the buzzer beater is probably the most, depending on if the game's tied or if you're behind. But a 3-point buzzer beater, I feel like you're like, okay, we still have hope. I've seen tons of these like game winner threes. But when it comes to Hail Mary, it's like, well, if this game's over, I might as well just stay to watch this last play.
Right.
And it usually
doesn't. Which is why I feel like, see, I think a home run or a buzzer beater 3-pointer are both like real, like those are both things that happen in the game where there's the only time you're doing the mechanics of like a Hail Mary shot or a Hail Mary pass or like on the last play of the game. I mean, so it's kind of just like, could you have a quarterback who can throw it 50 yards? Do you have a receiver get lucky? I mean, that's the whole thing.
When's the last time those lateral plays? Go ahead.
Lateral plays are still, I mean, those still feel pretty bad.
What was it, like the Patriots upset the Dolphins or something like that? And it was a ton of laterals and then Tyreek got a hold of it. Something crazy happened with
I know the
lateral
Patriots
one time.
lost a game against the Raiders by laterals. Like
Oh,
the
bilateral.
Raiders,
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, but
Music
Chandler
City
Jones.
Miracle back in the day.
That's a forward pass.
Could be.
Look it up. It's a forward pass.
I've seen it. It probably was. You know, who's to say? Not me. After all these years,
Tinsley is.
There is something. The difference between like a Hail Mary and then like a methodical final drive to get you into field goal range. I almost think, I don't know. There are both of them have their place in the sport, obviously, but when it comes,
honestly,
there is something exciting about both. But
yeah, I like a game winning field goal. Honestly, a little bit better than a Hail Mary. The Hail Mary to me, like what you said, it feels like more like luck and like kind of just right place, right time. Like it doesn't always feel like that one today. I was like, I was just lucky. Like I don't know.
Same with onside kicks, kind of.
Yeah, like earning it, like going down, like you're down by one, and okay, we're gonna go down here and get in field goal position and win. Like you have to make plays the whole game or the whole drive to win it. Like I like those more than I do a Hail Mary from 50-yard line. And it's like, oh, cool. I mean, it's still exciting.
It's fun.
Like,
I mean, it's unexciting.
I freaked out watching it. I was like, oh wow, I can't believe it just happened. But I don't know.
Yeah, agree. I think a buzzer beater, like 3-point at the absolute buzzer, is one of the most electric things I can
it really is. Especially like in a championship setting, like UConn, Chris Jenkins hit that March Madness a few years ago. Yeah, like stuff like that. It's kind of crazy.
I mean, there's a lot of those type plays. That's the ones that you just remember. Like Michael Jordan, part of his legacy is that he hit so many of those in his career. Those are the ones you see over and over again.
Yeah, it's crazy how many game-winning shots he hit.
Oh my gosh.
I know a guy who hit a lot more.
Here we go.
Real quick, I wanted to touch on it because we talked about it before the recording the podcast. But there's a video surfacing of Tyreek Stevenson is supposed to be following Noah Brown the whole way. Instead, he is smack talking with Commanders fans. And he's like in the corner away from the like rest of the wide receivers, and you can see it. He's like hyping them up and talking, and the play is already going, and he's like in the corner away from everybody. So shout out to that guy.
Not a great look for that guy.
Nope.
Not ideal. Yeah, it was a fun week though. The fun weekend in sports.
Just for those wondering, LeBron James has hit 17 game-winning shots.
Okay.
And Michael Jordan, where is he? Where is he on the list? Did I look up just a modern-day list? Surely not.
Okay, but how many of them are iconic? How many of them are some of the greatest plays? I mean, you could even count his North Carolina buzzer beater where he was playing in the NCAA tournament, and he hit the one from the corner. He's had a couple that were just at the top.
Yeah,
of the list.
that is awesome. But people like to say LeBron's not clutch, and it's pretty clutch.
Is he in the regular season?
Didn't he put up like 40-something points to win last?
He's a regular season clutch. I'm just saying, it's whatever.
Listen,
we're not going to have this conversation today.
yes, we are. Why not? Let's do it.
I will say, is the Bronny experience dead? When will it die? How long is he going to sit on the bench and not play?
He's going to take up that last roster spot all season.
You think?
Well, I don't know. I saw rumors of like him already going down to the.
Here's the problem: is the Lakers look good, and if the Lakers
they do
have some playoff aspirations, I think they're not going to leave him there just to sit the bench.
But how much more can you improve your roster? Like that spot's not playing anyway, like on a normal basis. Your last two spots on the bench don't like play.
Udonis Haslem was like literally on the end of the bench for like 6 years in a row without playing
like 20 minutes.
It's awesome.
A season.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. But so that's why I don't think they'll do anything with that spot. Yeah, they'll let him just
Just
ride
to like
it.
keep LeBron happy.
When there's blowouts or
morale
whatever, they'll put them in. When they're blown out a team by 30 points or something, they'll put them in the last minute and a half, something like that.
I'll say this though, to people that like were doubting that JJ Redick only got hired because he's friends with LeBron. I know it's early in the season, but he is drawing up plays. They are playing a different style. Like they look good. They legitimately look like
actually
well
playing
coached.
real basketball.
Yeah, like I think JJ might be for real.
Listen,
like an actual coach.
Could be fun.
Lakers might be back, and someone
I'm excited for this season.
Maybe shouldn't have given up on them in dynasty mode.
Oh,
speaking of dynasty mode,
no one cares about dynasty.
There's some
mode.
points available.
Zach's blowing us out of the water. Real quick, I know it's 3-0, but the last time the Lakers were 3-0 was 2010-2011 season. I just want to throw that out there. So I'm excited.
Mamba mentality.
Could be.
That's electric.
It is.
I'm excited. I think it's those are one of the. I know you talk about that sometimes, but they're one of those teams where I think if they're like competitive, it's good for the NBA probably.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Good for views.
Just one of those historic
overall.
teams.
Yeah. I think you could maybe argue it's the same for like the Yankees and some teams like that who are whatever. But there's an argument.
I'm a big baseball guy, but Yankees can go fall.
I'm not a baseball guy either.
I hope they get swept.
They may.
Could be.
Will be fine with
me.
I
don't care. Yeah, it's more points for Zach. Who knew picking all the favorites was going to play out for him this way?
Who knew? It's worked so far. Yeah.
Zach, have you ever thought for 1 second that maybe you should have parlayed your baseball, your hockey, and your NBA team?
You know, that would have been a good idea.
Because I did it. It didn't last very long. But
should have done that probably.
You would have probably had like plus at least 8,000.
Yeah, that would have been smart. Okay. We do have.
And you have the Ravens.
The Ravens? Is that my?
I got the Ravens.
No, I have the Chiefs.
He's got the Chiefs. Another favorite.
Wow.
Pretty good dynasty. I don't know how I ended up with all those teams. At least I don't have the Orioles though, so that's a bummer.
Yeah, I don't either.
5 years, Orioles are going to be electric.
Actually, no, I do have the Orioles still. I didn't trade them in.
Okay.
But bump the Orioles.
Do we want to do I know we're going to do our categories here. I think doing some weekly check-ins on the playoff race could be fun. A fun experiment. With his first year of the 12-team playoff, we had some shakeups. We had some eliminations this week. We're going to say goodbye to some teams for the season in our playoff potential category. And so I think what I'm going to do here, and we'll just get Tim's feedback as we go, because we're going to talk about some of the actual games that happen, but I want to talk about the picture, the playoff picture. Who still has the potential to make the playoff? And so I kind of started making a list where I think if these teams win out, they will be in the playoffs. If they win the remaining games, they will make the playoffs. Whether that means they're going to win their conference championship, whether it means they're going to make an at-large bid. And I have a list of 22 teams that I think if they win out will make the playoffs. Will all 22 of them win out? No, because some of them play each other. A lot of them play each other. In fact, there's still a lot of shakeups that will be happening here. So let's have a quick conversation. Let's start with the SEC. Texas A&M, big win versus LSU, 1 loss overall, undefeated in the SEC. Pretty good. They still have to play Texas, but they're still in pretty good shape.
Is that really like their only big test in the SEC is Texas?
Left. Yes. They play in the last game of the year.
Yeah.
So they're in pretty good shape right now. I think if they lose that game, there's probably a decent chance they still make it. Next, Georgia. Obviously, I don't think we'll talk about that.
Georgia's back. Yeah.
Texas. Almost. They barely beat Vandy. Once their schedule ramped up, They have started looking more human. Big loss to Georgia, and then Vandy took them to the very, very end of that game.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the ropes a little bit, I will say. Quinn Ewers looking human.
Future Tennessee Titan, Quentin Ewers.
Don't say that to me.
No,
Next.
thank you.
Tennessee. Tennessee, one loss, holds their own destiny. If they win out, they're going to SEC championship game. Lose to Georgia, things get much more interesting. There will be a 2-loss team along with about 10 other teams around the country, I think. So that's going to be interesting right there. But as of right now, they're still definitely in the hunt. LSU took a big loss to A&M, but still only has 2 losses on the season. They still play Alabama. And so that one's going to be – they also play South Carolina this week and are only like 3.5-point favorites, I think, at South Carolina. The South Carolina team has proved to be a little bit frisky, so definitely some interesting one there.
Unless we bet on them.
Sure.
Or just me, because I bet on them against Ole Miss, and it was
No bueno?
No bueno at all. They didn't even get close to covering.
And then I have Alabama. Alabama, a team that is just on their absolute last leg. If they end up the season with only 2 losses, there will be a very, very interesting conversation that has to happen about the Alabama team and where to rank them. And lastly, we have Ole Miss. Ole Miss, a team that is kind of in that same category as Bama. They are just absolutely – they're 6-2 on the season. They are teetering on destruction. Georgia, Ole Miss play still in a huge game. And Ole Miss has to go to Arkansas, which I think Arkansas has hosted some huge games this season. That's another big one. So as far as the SEC is concerned, I've got 7 teams that have the potential to make the playoffs still. A couple of eliminations this year. Or this week, Vandy.
This week, yeah, Vandy.
Vandy eliminated.
Poor
Shout
Vandy.
Out.
They fought to the bitter end.
They truly did. I mean, yeah, their losses are to Texas and Kentucky. It doesn't matter. The punchline was they lost to Texas and Georgia State.
Is it the bitter end when it's only week 9? Did they fight to the?
I mean, they beat Bama and they lost to Texas. I mean, what are you gonna do? Okay.
Vandy's normally eliminated by week 4.
Really, one of the only 2-loss teams around the country that I've eliminated officially, Missouri.
Yeah.
Missouri stinks.
Yeah.
They have the softest schedule possible, and they got absolutely just boat raced by Bama this week. Missouri's out. They're done.
Yeah.
There's no way they make it.
Done.
They're cooked. Yeah. We cannot talk about them anymore. I know they had some injury problems with Brady Cook, whatever. I don't want to hear it. They're bad. Sorry, Missouri.
Nah.
Okay, so there's the SEC. 7 teams left. LSU, Bama, Ole Miss on absolute life support. If they lose another game, they're done. Which LSU, Bama play in basically an elimination game later this season.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And Ole Miss, Georgia. I mean, that will be interesting. There's still some huge games around the SEC still. A&M, Texas, and Georgia, Tennessee. Those are all the 4 one-loss SEC teams. Or A&M's only got no loss in SEC, but those are all one-loss teams who play each other still. So
Ole Miss could really kind of mess some stuff up if they were to upset Georgia. A 2-loss Georgia with both of them being in the SEC play, like that's not good.
2-loss Georgia, 2-loss Ole Miss. But Georgia still has a tough schedule ahead. Georgia's schedule is
have UT and Ole Miss, and
Georgia plays Florida. A Florida team is looking frisky these
all
days.
Of a sudden.
Ole Miss, Tennessee, and then that's pretty much it. They play UMass and Georgia Tech. So they've got three games left that are all nothing easy there. Okay, moving on. Let's go to the Big Ten. There's only 5 teams here, but all 4 of the 5 have a pretty legitimate argument. This Big Ten picture is a little bit cleaner than the SEC picture, to be frank. Big Ten teams. I've got Oregon, Penn State, both in Indiana, all three undefeated. Obviously, we're still have a lot of football to be played. Penn State and Indiana both play Ohio State, who looked pretty beatable this week against Nebraska. But we got three undefeated teams, and then you have Ohio State and Illinois, who is on life support a little bit. Illinois did not look good against Oregon, but they only have two losses, so they could have an argument. Their only losses this year are Penn State and Oregon. That is not a terrible resume. But I think they're definitely on the bottom of that list. I think they're going to send four. I think the four could very, very well just be that top four I listed. Okay, moving on. Big 12. I've got four teams still in the running in the Big 12 if they win out. BYU, Iowa State, undefeated. There's a high probability those two teams enter into the Big 12 championship undefeated, and it doesn't matter. But those are both undefeated teams in the Big 12. Next, Kansas State survived against Kansas, and Colorado. Two-loss Colorado all of a sudden looking pretty interesting.
Does Colorado have a Big 12 loss? Sorry.
I'm looking.
It is a question.
Because they lost. I'm trying to think of who they lost to.
They lost to Kansas State.
Okay. So, yeah.
And they lost to Nebraska. Big 10.
Nebraska. Big 10, yeah. So they have one.
Yeah. I mean, that Nebraska loss doesn't look horrible looking back. Kansas State loss that was by 3 points. So, I mean, Colorado is they end the season around with Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. So, with a loss or two at the top of the Big 12, Colorado could have an argument there. Okay. Moving on to the ACC.
Chaos conference.
That one's chaos.
Yeah.
Whether or not only one, I mean, I think they would have a hard time at this point getting in just with who's ahead of them in their schedules.
Yeah.
BYU and Iowa State schedules are pretty soft.
It's funny. So it's the chaos conference while also having like the most chalk championship lined up because they have two teams that are undefeated that probably shouldn't lose another game the rest of the year.
Two teams that just got the easiest Big 12 schedules possible. It's weird. We've seen that this year. BYU's schedule has been pretty
BYU's schedule's been pretty easy.
And it remains pretty easy.
Yeah. But they look good.
It's just tough. They have looked good.
Yeah. I don't know. That conference is just it's so weird.
Okay, next up, ACC. I've got four teams that have got a shot at the ACC championship. That would be Pittsburgh, Miami, Clemson, SMU, sneaky. They had a close win this week. SMU is still sitting back there, but something would have to happen at the top. Here's the problem. Miami's undefeated, and their schedule is very manageable from here on out. Extremely manageable. Have they been playing great football? No, probably not. But it doesn't really matter. If you go undefeated, you're making the conference championship. What'd you say?
I don't know. Define great.
What's great?
I don't know. Define great football. Miami's undefeated. That seems pretty good.
No, we don't need to talk about this.
Zach's the biggest hater of Miami while holding a Miami future.
Listen, we talked about this a little bit. I have a future for both Miami and Oregon to win their respective conferences. It's looking pretty decent right now. I have a couple problems with this Miami team. One, I'm still not 100% sure they're not complete frauds. To me, they kind of harken back to the Florida State of last year. That's honestly the best comparison, I think, for this team. They have a quarterback that's electric that can put the team on his back. Their schedule has been very favorable so far. They're winning the games in front of them, which is great. But what happens when you actually play a team that has a heartbeat or a pulse? I I think there is a good argument that they should have lost back-to-back games against Virginia Tech and California, if not for some pretty significant refereeing malpractice in those games, which is really my grudge against Miami at this point. Here's the remaining schedule. Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. I mean, there's probably not a loss there. And so Clemson obviously took a bad loss to Georgia, but then their schedule, they had to play Pitt in what is essentially going to be an elimination game in the ACC. Pitt Clemson is going to end up being the biggest game of the year in the ACC. November 16th. Mark it down, folks.
Klubnik has got his way into the Heisman conversation.
Yeah.
He's in top 5 now because Clemson can get I know, but here they are. If they win out, he wins the ACC. Klubnik
be there.
Could
some other quarterbacks have kind of fallen back. Yeah. Pitt, SMU play this week as well, in what will be a huge game.
Ooh, I didn't know they played this week. I thought
this is not a preview show, but that's going to be a fun one. So, game. With all that being said, ACC is up for grabs still. If it goes completely chalk, I think it will be Clemson Miami in the championship game, and the question will still remain: what do they do if Miami loses that game? What happens to Miami? Will they go? Will they get screwed over kind of like Florida State did? Maybe. I don't know.
That's a good question. That's a really good, yeah. Because I think I don't know. I don't know how you put a one-loss Miami team over.
Well, if their loss is a championship, is the ACC championship, which
right.
I still think that nationally we're going to consider those as play-in games instead of loss. I don't.
I know, but a team
I know, but it is
there'll be a lot of arguments for a 2-loss SEC team or a 2-loss or a 1-loss Big Ten school.
Oh yeah.
If Penn State only loses one game and they don't get to make the conference championship game and they're an outside,
one loss, you're fine. 2 losses is where things are going to get messy.
Yeah. So in that case, I got Ohio State. How much can you penalize? Say Ohio State loses again in the conference championship game. Can you punish them and put Miami in ahead of them? They'll probably both still make it, but seeding wise, it's all going to be
certainly a question.
It's going to get heated and ticky tacky, and there'll be a lot of.
I think the most likely scenario at this point is, let's say that Texas A&M loses to Texas.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they still only have one conference loss.
So they would still make the ACC.
There's a decent chance they can make the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
So what do you do if a 2-loss A&M goes and plays, let's say, hypothetically, Georgia, and they lose to Georgia? Mm-hmm. Is that a 3-loss A&M team now? I don't think there's a way they can do that. That's where I'm at. I think that's pretty gross.
But then but even then,
if Tennessee's there with 2 losses, but then A&M played an extra game.
Right. You can't penalize A&M because they were good enough to make their conference championship game, right, and then penalize them for losing that game.
Which is what you'd be doing to Miami potentially, in that situation.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. It's going to be chaotic.
Same conversation, but in Big 12 as well. What do you do with Iowa State, BYU, if they're both undefeated?
I feel like the committee will say the strength of the conference will come into play there.
Agree on Big 12, but I don't know about ACC. I don't know if the teams are – if the team is Miami instead of Iowa State, I don't know what the conversation is.
Yeah.
I guess messy.
That's a harder conversation.
Because if we're having that conversation, then Notre Dame should be eliminated already because they played – their schedule is just –
Notre Dame's just a joke.
So – speaking of Notre Dame, they're on my list as well. I've got Army, Notre Dame, and Boise State as at large. Well, Boise State with the G5. As if they win out, that's pretty much locked up. Army, Notre Dame are kind of going to be battling. They play each other, obviously, in what will be an elimination game. Notre Dame, I think, has a pretty good chance of making it, though. Okay, that's all. That's all for college football for the day. That was a little bit long-winded, so I apologize about that. But I thought it was an interesting. Each week we'll eliminate some people, so our conversation will get a little bit more targeted. 22 teams right now. I think next week we'll be down to 18 or 19 if we're lucky. So,
yeah, I mean Pitt and SMU play each other, so there's one.
Should be games next week.
Yeah, I haven't looked too far ahead, but man, college football is it's getting chaotic here at the end, which is
pretty
good.
Quick.
Have something
pretty quick.
Have something to pay attention to because NFL can kiss my butt. We got college basketball tipping off.
We do.
That's right.
In a week.
We should do some type of breakdown for that. I think that would be fun.
Ooh.
We'll figure something out.
We'll cook some stuff up. I'm working on something, a potential guest. Not before the season starts, but very early in the season to come talk to us. So,
I will say one of my favorite moments when I was like in high school and college. I don't do it now because I work and I go to bed at like 8:00. But there's like their opening night where they play games throughout the night, where they do like a 24-hour. You know what I'm talking about? There's like games in Hawaii that are like 2:00 in the morning, but they're live. Nothing beats like just staying up all night and watching North Charlotte University of Engineering up against JMU or something like that at 2:30 in the morning in Hawaii.
Tennessee had an exhibition game today against Indiana, so that's pretty fun. I'm excited. I love college basketball. It's coming. Okay,
all the sports.
Is it time for our for categories?
I think so.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we're gonna break down this week's games here with our categories. Starting off as always, upset of the week. Upset of the week. Mason, what do you have for that one?
I'm going to go with the Patriots over the Jets. The Jets have been in the news basically every week, firing a head coach and then getting Devontae Adams. And it's like, we've talked about this in the past, but Aaron Rodgers has ran out of excuses. And they lose today against the Patriots team that, you know, Drake May, some might be saying he may be the starting quarterback, like continue, like he may have a chance in the NFL. Like, I feel pretty confident about it. What do you think, Tim? He's a runner. He's a better passer. Yeah.
I love Drake May.
I know,
Drake May was my favorite quarterback coming out of this class.
But you didn't like Drake May on the Patriots, or you weren't as much of a fan. So.
I didn't like where he went. I kind of wanted him to go to the Giants just because I do believe in Brian Daboll as far as a quarterback developer. But no, I like Drake May. I thought he was my favorite quarterback coming out of this class. I said it in one of our group checks. I said if I didn't have Trevor Lawrence on my team, I would be wanting to draft Drake May. Like, that's where I stood with him.
So I will say,
he did get a concussion today.
Yeah, he was. I would say
ideal.
Jacoby Brissett was in, but that's the upset that I had at home. 2-6 now. Guess what? They're the same record as the Jets.
Huh. Sounds like you're kind of happy the Patriots won today.
Why would
I think I kind of know what you're trying to do.
What am I trying to do?
I think you're trying to get that first overall pick. So you don't end up with Quentin Ewers.
I don't know what I want anymore. Because if we have a first overall pick, then I'm afraid we're going to pick a quarterback.
Oh, you're picking a quarterback, buddy.
I don't know.
It's whoever right. Brian Callahan wants, too, because that's your boy.
Probably not wrong.
Gross.
Okay, that was my upset. Tens.
All right, my upset of the week is the Bengals. You were favored at home by it was 2.5. So I mean, it was going to be a close game between the Eagles and the Bengals. Two teams been Super Bowl recently, high-powered offenses. Two teams that everybody thought would have a bounce-back season, and the Bengals just they can't get out of their own way. They cannot string together some wins. They were already in like must-win territory for the rest of the season. I think at this point it might be done. Like they might be cooked. So upset of the week to me was the Eagles coming in and just beating the Bengals as bad as they did. I think the final score was 37-14.
I saw
Which will still
everybody
be a
that-
weird game to think about when Nick Sirianni still gets fired. When both these head coaches are getting fired, actually, is probably what's going to happen by the end of the season.
What would have to
saw
happen for Nick
everybody-
Sirianni to not get fired?
What would have to happen?
Yeah.
Probably win the Super Bowl.
I'm pretty invested in the Eagles this year, so
Why? Oh, for fantasy?
yeah.
AJ Brown. I mean, they'll be fine. They'll just promote Kellen Moore.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about that. Nick Sirianni doesn't do anything. That's the thing. He doesn't call.
Doesn't do anything.
He doesn't call the offense or defense. I don't know what he does. He's in charge of
Hype man.
timeouts, and he's not very good at it. He was chirping the Eagles fans last week on the sidelines.
I saw a thing where it was like anybody that bet Saquon Barkley to score a touchdown, because it was Jalen Hurts had 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
It's like every time they got close to the
Even the announcer, I was watching that into that game, and even the announcer was like, maybe they should I think they should let Saquon run this in. And it was like, just kidding. It was Jalen Hurts again.
Zach, do you have Sunday Ticket?
No,
he's got red zone.
I don't.
Oh, I thought you had red zone.
You watch a lot of games.
It's because the Titans game ended so early because it was such a big blowout that they started playing other games. So I got to catch the
You
end
said
of a
I
bunch of
watched
games.
Browns football on purpose.
I watched the last 10 minutes of it.
Oh.
That game
'Cause it was on.
That was a really fast game. They were wanting it to be over
The Titans
soon
game
because
ended
of
so
the
early that
blowout.
our markets opened up some so they could show us some other stuff. The end of some actual fun games.
They didn't want to show you guys Hendon Hooker playing.
I did
You
see
get to
some
play a
of
lot
that.
today. Oh, you
Yeah.
did? Okay. Oh, the game just like really did like end that fast?
Yeah, I mean, it was over.
They were just running
it was
the clock
over
out on
like
both
20 minutes
sides.
before the rest of the games. Okay. My upset of the week was a couple of fantasy teams around the league all of a sudden looking a little bit better. That'd be mine and Tins. Our teams were dead for a little bit.
Bing bong.
Breaking news. Christian Kirk broke his collarbone.
Save that for a second.
Okay, sorry.
I have something to say.
I
to
should have on my
someone.
fantasy because he's on my fantasy team. Fantasy, me and Tins, all of a sudden our teams are looking pretty good. Mason took a
might be
couple of
back.
losses in a row. Back-to-back
Ooh, 2
losses
me
to
and
the
Zach.
boys.
By both of you guys, yeah.
This
Some
was
people are
after
calling
his
us dead.
comments. Mason made comments about someone's fantasy team and said, "Where's your fantasy team at, buddy boy? Where's your fantasy team at?"
I did talk smack, and of course,
A
literally
mistake.
the week after, I lost
Then we
both
tag
games.
teamed you. Like prime time, Rey Mysterio and John Cena, tag team champions of the world. I don't know if they were a tag
Got
team.
the players back
or not.
from injury.
Yep.
Looking a little frisky. So there wasn't really a lot of upsets around college football this week. Like I said, a lot of the games were close, what could have been, but so I went with that one instead. Okay. Next, disappointment of the week.
I'm
Mason.
ready. Can I do mine?
Yep.
Okay, so the Dolphins, my disappointment. The Patriots helped you all out by beating the Jets, what we talked about. So the division's wide open a little bit. You get Tua back. The crowd is cheering on the sidelines when he slides instead of taking a hit. They had a 27-18 lead in the fourth quarter, and the Cardinals come back with a field goal at the end to win the game. So that's my disappointment.
Zach.
My disappointment. There's a couple of from around the league. I think the biggest one, it's a what could have been. It was Ohio State narrowly escaping Nebraska. Boy, would that have ruffled some feathers around the league. So
That'd have been
close
fun.
to such a huge fake. My guy,
Patrick?
fake Patrick Mahomes, was this close. He couldn't come out with it. That was a big disappointment. My second one, Notre Dame versus Navy. Boy, I was at least. It was never even almost sort of close.
Nope.
And I wanted that to be a better game.
Can I have a shout out?
Yes.
Shout out to Tens for talking me out of taking Navy live spread.
Yeah, it was never.
I was like, all right, should I take the points here? Because I like to live bet. If I see something, I'm like, well, that was kind of fluky. It was not whatsoever. So I appreciate Tens for saving me some money there.
The service academies, you can tell pretty quick, like, all right, can they hang around or not? And
no,
they could not.
Notre Dame just wasn't going to let it happen.
Yep.
It's almost like Navy's schedule thus far has been pretty soft. Some people are saying that. Okay, Tins. Disappointment of the week?
Yeah, I got two. My first one is Mason. Yeah. This is a call out because Mason, I'm really disappointed in you in the fact that you did this to me. That you made a season-long prop on Christian Kirk, and he has had the worst season of his career. And now he's broken his collarbone. We were about to trade him to the Steelers for a 4th-round pick.
Yeah, he was in talks today or yesterday.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Trade talks.
Yeah, I know. He was going to get traded for a 4th-round pick to the Steelers. And you had to go and put your little juju on Christian Kirk because you're a Titans fan who's actually a Jaguars fan, but we won't talk about that.
Watch it.
This got him. Watch what? 52-14. Running backs throwing touchdowns against your team. You can't make fun of me. We can trade.
I said watch it, and he just threw that score out. Like you're not the Lions. Like if it would be different if the Jags beat.
I have something for that later. Don't worry.
But yes, Montgomery's over here throwing touchdown. Why are we talking about this?
Did Montgomery throw a touchdown pass?
Huh?
Did Montgomery throw a touchdown pass?
David Montgomery threw a touchdown pass.
Do I not get points for that fantasy?
You did, Zach. Look at how many points he has.
He only has 16. Oh, he did get 6 points for that.
Yeah, he didn't do. He only had like 40 yards rushing.
Shout out to my guy.
The whole offense had like 100 and something yards total, but put up 50 something points.
I didn't for like 85 yards.
We'll take it. Okay,
that's how crazy that game was.
For the fake outrage.
That's why I was like, this is the weirdest like day of NFL.
It was weird.
I have some weird stats I want to talk about in a minute, but go ahead, Tins. I don't know.
Right.
What's your second disappointment? I'm sorry.
My second disappointment. No, it's okay. My second disappointment is myself. So last week I even told the boys, I said, I'm hate watching the Jags. I hope the Patriots embarrass us so we can hurry up with this process.
Didn't believe it.
Patriots went right down and scored. I said, yes, let's go. It's time. We're gonna get blown out, and it's gonna finally be time people get fired. Well, instead we won, and I don't know. I started today, or really last night. I said, all right, so if we can do this, if we can win if we could go 4 of our next 6 wins, playoffs are back. Playoffs are back on the table. I need the Texans to like drop some games. I looked at their schedule. I said, ooh, Texans might drop some games. And then so I'm watching today, and I had hope and joy. And I was like, oh, man. And then we tied it up. I said, all right, here we go. We're going to go to overtime. Trevor's going to win the game, and playoffs are back. I'm cool with Doug sticking around. And so I'm disappointed in myself for letting this happen to me because I know better. I should have stuck with the plan of get Doug Peterson and his pet, Press Taylor, off my team. Trent Baalke, you got to go. We drafted a second-round guy from LSU, defensive tackle, who's been a healthy scratch the last 3 weeks. Why is that happening? Because he sucks or because Doug Peterson doesn't like I don't know. Yeah, we let Malik Willis hit a 51-yard pass to set up the game-winning field goal against us today. Because our defense. Hey, guess what, Ryan Nielsen? You should shave your mustache. You can't have a cool look about yourself and be like Mr. Macho Man, cool defensive coordinator, and have this cool mustache. If your defense sucks, if you're going to be a terrible coach and suck at your job, shave the mustache, and look like a normal human.
Love that.
But yeah, I'm disappointed in myself. I am my own disappointment of the week.
Me and Tins.
Hope is
Disappointment
dangerous.
of the week. Yeah.
It's true.
Rip.
And I went 3 for 3 in college football, and I'm mad.
He's mad at everyone. Okay. That was good, Tins. Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing.
Electric.
Thanks.
Getting that off your chest. All right,
Feel
amazing.
better. Not really.
Performance of the week. Performance of the week. What do you got?
I'm going with SGA on the Thunder because right now he is the king of the court. For if nobody knows what that is,
you pick him?
DraftKings does a promo. Yeah, I picked him for today. He has the most points, rebounds, and assists. And so far, I've gotten a $93 bet. Tinsley got like a $36 bonus bet. Right now, he's the active king of the court. SGA.
Love that. My performance of the week is coming from also the NBA. We have a new father-son duo that is the highest scoring father-son duo in NBA history. And that would be LeBron James and his son, NBA player, Bronny. They have between them the most points ever scored by a father-son duo. And Bronny has 0 of them, if you're curious. But technically, it's true. So
Technically,
there's a stat.
technicalities.
Love a technicality. They've played at the same time on the same court once.
Not happened since.
Spot the
It was
lie.
It was an open season or little video that they wanted to do, little clip, social
Yep.
media.
The
and
clicks.
we won't see it again probably
That's okay.
for a while.
It happened that one time. Shout out.
I had a legitimate performance of the week, but it kind of ties into some of the other categories, so I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Love that.
All right,
Okay.
Tins.
Here's the numbers. Actually, I was looking to try and find it really fast. The Jameses have scored a total of 40,490 points.
Wow.
0 of them from Bronny.
Yet.
And then the next highest is the Bryants.
I didn't know Kobe's dad played in the NBA. So I
Kobe
saw
and
that.
Yeah.
Joe.
I didn't either.
33 and 5. And then the Currys are next.
Curry's.
23 and 12 from Steph and Del Curry.
Why don't they count both Currys? Both sons. He has 2 sons in the NBA.
Would it
Steph
matter?
Curry.
It definitely wouldn't be number 1, but
I was also thinking
help.
LaMelo Ball. Was he not in the NBA, or was he just a talker like he was? Because remember, he became famous for LeVar Ball, LaMelo Ball. LeVar was talking about how he could beat Michael Jordan, and so I couldn't remember if he was actually in the NBA.
He played in the
not.
NFL. He was a tight end in the NFL.
Why did he say that he could beat Michael Jordan?
Because he played on the basketball team at the college he was at.
Oh, okay.
And people put up stats. He averaged like 2 points a game.
What happened to that guy? He was all over the place there for a while.
In the NBA, he's done. His job
He did what he said he was going to do. He got
He's
his
like Thanos sitting like, my job is done here.
What a wild.
The universe is complete. Yeah. Is that right?
I just remember him yelling at Stephen A. Smith on ESPN like every day.
There's an argument that LeVar Ball is better at getting his son's league ready than LeBron is, I think.
Who's saying that? You?
Some people.
All right. What about Michael Jordan's sons? They couldn't even get drafted. They were terrible at basketball.
I was not making a commentary about Michael Jordan versus LeBron there. We're talking LeVar versus LeBron.
We're just talking about dads getting their sons to the NBA.
LeBron's other son.
If anyone had pull, it should have
one.
been MJ.
Who's
MJ
LeBron's?
owned a team. Didn't even draft his own son.
Didn't he kind of suck?
Yeah, they did.
He just had enough respect to know his son wasn't NBA ready. Some of the current people don't have the same respect for the league. What's LeBron's other son who actually is good?
His other son is actually good.
Yeah,
And
he's better.
big.
Yeah. He's like NBA
He's
size.
actually, yeah.
What's his name?
Bryce.
Yeah, he's gonna be good. Calling
He's
it.
actually good. Yeah.
I'm calling it.
LaMelo's son's like a top 30 prospect, by the the way.
Who is
Carmelo Anthony? Carmelo Anthony.
I was like LaMelo.
No, not LaMelo.
That was awesome.
Carmelo Anthony. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right.
All right.
Overreaction of the week.
All right, I got some.
Get it, Mason.
I don't want to snipe you, Tins.
Make it hot.
I think this
you're
is
not
yours.
gonna have. No, it's not gonna be mine.
After the Rams' electric win on Thursday night, they are going to make the playoffs, win the division. The Colts are going to bench Anthony Richardson for Flacco, not because of injury, but because of his play. And I'm sorry, Tens, I did not know this until you sent the parlay that you have the Steelers winning money line, but I had a prediction that this is like a sleeper upset of the Giants beating the Steelers in Pittsburgh tomorrow. Those are my
probably has nothing to do
overreactions.
with your Russell Wilson hate.
Might a little bit. I don't know what you're talking about. My weird stat. This is the most Anthony Richardson type of stat I've ever heard. He has 81 passing yards on only 2 completions of 13 attempts. He came into the game averaging 16.6 yards per completion, would be the highest in the NFL since 1998. But he came in completions of 48% thrown, which is the worst since Tim Tebow in 2011. So he has like the best of a stat and the worst all in one, which is pretty funny. So there you go.
Yikes.
Okay, next.
There you go. Okay, next. Indiana is the best team in the Big Ten.
Wow.
Wow.
Look, people were doubting this Indiana team. Their last 2 weeks have been against teams that have previously upset some pretty big teams. That would be Washington and Nebraska. Both teams, this Nebraska team that they played 2 weeks ago almost upset Ohio State at home. They beat them 56-7. I'm just saying this Indiana team, you could have had the conversation before of they haven't really played very many people, which was true. But their last 2 games have been pretty dominant against some of the upper half of the Big Ten at least. And they've been pretty easy wins. The remaining schedule, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Purdue. I think there is a conversation that no one wants to have yet. The Indiana may already have locked in their playoff spot.
Ooh.
Michigan State, Michigan, Purdue, all of those teams do not look very good. Then they play Ohio State, obviously, and what will be a huge Big Ten game. Indiana, people have been sleeping on them.
It's time to wake up.
I wouldn't anymore. Yeah, they're there. And probably will be in your postseason play this year.
Watch out.
Okay,
head coach is a walking meme. I will say that much.
He's a winner.
He's a winner.
He's a winner.
Look him up.
Look him up.
Google him.
All right, Tim, what do you got?
Y'all had some spicy overreactions. Mine's not so spicy. I need Ben Johnson to calm down. I need Ben Johnson to stop emptying the clip on bad teams. Why are you emptying the clip against the Cowboys? Why are you emptying the clip? You got running backs throwing touchdowns against the Titans. Sure. Save some of that. Save some of that for your next team because you might be playing the Titans 2 times a year. You need to chill out, Ben Johnson. Save some of that creativity for when you get down up in northern Florida.
Speaking of the Lions and Ben Johnson, does he look good in teal, by the way? Anyways,
he's going to look nice in teal. And former Jaguar quarterback Mark Brunell, who is the quarterback coach for the Lions, probably going to come down with him.
Speaking of all that in the Lions, we're all over the place, but my hot seat was the special teams coach for the Titans, Colt Anderson, on the hot seat.
Yeah, he's fired.
Punt returns all over creation.
Amy fired a special teams coach last year.
Just a ridiculous, performance by our special teams today. So there you go.
And all year, y'all have had 2 blocked punts for touchdowns against you. Like, that guy's got to go. He sucks.
Correct.
Okay. Great work. Let's move on because we got some stuff to cover. We do this quickly. We have our highest risers and our lowest fallers of the week. Which team is the highest riser for you this week in football, Mason?
My highest riser is going to be the Cleveland Browns. They
Let's
are
go.
back, baby.
We're back. Love it.
Some may say they have playoff potential now.
I've heard people talking about it like that so far.
That's all I gotta say.
I can't do the 2023 Vikings all over again with you guys.
Love it. I
Why
might
not?
put a bet on him. Is it time?
We might, yeah. Let's see what the live bet for them making the playoffs
Okay,
is.
Mason,
Let's
look
take
that
it.
up.
Let's
I'm
take
gonna do
Super
mine.
Bowl.
Oh yeah, Super Bowl. Let's
Yeah,
see
it was
the-
Super Bowl.
Okay.
You guys think it's soupy season?
My highest riser is going to be Texas A&M. We haven't talked about this game a lot, but it was a huge game against LSU. Texas A&M, the only undefeated team in the SEC, first place in SEC play. They are rising pretty quickly through the rankings after a big win. They're all of a sudden looking like they're another team that is pretty close to that lock status for a playoff, in my opinion. It's getting close. Somewhat just because they're scheduled, but
Browns
that's my pick.
plus 50,000 to win the Super Bowl.
50,000.
So if you bet $10, you win $5,010.
What if I bet 10 cents? $50?
You win $50.
That's a pretty good deal. I have to throw some money on that. All right, Tim's highest riser.
I've got a three-way tie here between the Commanders, the Lions, and the Bills. I think these are the three most explosive teams in the NFL right now. They all have really good offensive coordinators. They are really good. They are stacked. These teams are putting up crazy numbers against teams right now. These are my three favorite teams to keep up with and watch.
Josh Allen of the week?
It's over. Josh Allen is taking over. Josh Allen might be an MVP candidate, especially at underneath. Joe Brady's done a really good job building a perfect offense for Josh Allen. So he's a really good offensive coordinator.
Tim's doing some scouting.
Okay. He really is.
Let's do biggest faller. I always forget what our terminology is here. Which team dropped the most in your perception of them this week, Mason?
It's the obvious one. It's going to be the Titans for me.
How do you fall
getting
below
blown
last?
out? It was just do what?
How do you fall lower than last?
You just fall even lower. You just plummet,
Find
even
a new
though
hole.
you just dig a hole. Yeah, you're at the bottom, and you just 1-6 might be the worst team. I was just so upset watching this game. We could not do anything. It's like no defense, no special teams, no offense. 52-14. Game was over by the second quarter.
Not good. Pretty bad. My biggest faller of the week, we mentioned them earlier. I think there's twofold. It's a couple of teams that got eliminated from playoff contention. We're going to go with Missouri and Navy. Shout out to Navy for being ranked for that 1 week at 24 and then getting beat 51-14. You put up a good fight. Same with Missouri, number 21 in the nation, lost 34-0. Both those teams are saying. Actually, did you guys see the new rankings?
I have not seen them
Apparently,
yet.
Missouri stayed in the rankings. Like, they didn't get dropped out of the top 25 even after losing 34-0. But Vandy did. The cowards of the AP poll took Vandy out after a 3-point loss to Texas. You know who didn't fall this week? Vandy. Shout out to those guys. Putting their hearts on the line every week. Okay. Tens?
I went with the Jets. Mostly Aaron Rodgers. Who else are you gonna blame? What else is wrong other than you suck? You just lost to the Patriots, who are bad. And
weird interview, by the way.
What?
He had a weird
Aaron
interview
Rodgers?
at the end. Yeah, something about being in the dark and I don't know.
He's just
It was all over the place.
he needs to just move to wherever and just do ayahuasca every day and get out of everybody's lives because he's annoying. I'm so sick of the Aaron Rodgers experiment that has failed. But yeah, the Jets,
Sick of it.
terrible. Couldn't happen to a team I could hate more. I don't know why I don't like the Jets. I don't really like any of the New York teams. They're all very annoying, especially the Jets. Mostly just because all their fans said that Trevor wouldn't want to play in Jacksonville because he'd never make any money on advertising being a Jaguar player because the Jets market is so much better. Hey, guess what, Jets? You're a dumpster fire of a franchise too. Don't compare yourselves to us. We can get ad deals down here as well.
Tins keeps those long receipts. That was like one.
He really
comment,
does.
like by a couple fans way long ago in his Heights Hill franchise now.
Yep. Well, and then because of the rookie year, Zach Wilson didn't play so terrible, and we had Urban Meyer. They're like, Zach Wilson's the better quarterback anyway. Guess what, idiots? He's the backup. He's a third string quarterback for the Broncos now. So checkmate. Have fun with Aaron Rodgers.
Got him.
Got him again.
Okay, we got to wrap this one up, folks. Mason, you have something to say?
No, my dog did though. But I was just going to talk about before we do the next guy up is how weird of a week this has been. Players trying to break Justin Herbert's leg. Kermit the Frog out in the stands at the Chiefs game. Seahawks players fighting each other. Just a weird week. I think Caleb Williams had like 33 passing yards for the first half. The Saints-Chargers game was 5-9. Just a weird week in my opinion. NFL.
The Bears cornerback hyping up their
that's right,
taunting the crowd.
Yep,
that was fun.
So there you go. Now we got the next guy up of the week. I'm ready for it.
Okay, Tins, why don't you go first?
All right. Mine was the Chargers offensive lineman who tried to kill
that Saints
defensive lineman.
That's a good one.
That Saints defensive lineman. I don't know who he was, but did you see where he grabbed that offensive lineman by the junk? Like he was like trying to fight from the ground, and that's what he grabbed him. And I was like, this guy is a menace to society. He's trying to break Herbert's leg. He's trying to end this guy. He can't even have kids at this rate. This guy's trying to rip him. So yeah,
that was fun.
I don't know who that. I got to figure out who that was because I think it was the rookie from Clemson.
The weird place, Clemson.
Tackle.
Offensive lineman was he? If that ref didn't get him off of there, he might be in jail right now.
I hope he doesn't get
the way he jumped on. He grabbed him by the neck. It was awesome.
Yeah, electric.
Don't mess with this quarterback.
I've heard. I hope we hear what the penalty is, and I hope someone else pays it.
Chargers the fine, yeah. I bet Herbert would pay it for him. Herbert makes a lot of money.
True.
I've come around on Herbert. I used to not really care for him, but I kind of like Justin Herbert now.
There you go.
Just a fun fact.
Zach, do we want to just say ours together?
Yeah, we're gonna vote for you here. So,
all
right, Mason, announce it.
It is one Jameis Winston.
Let's go with your boy.
Just literally type in interviews or pregame was a clip. Yeah. Then the end game one was a clip. It was in the tunnel was a clip. It was all just entertainment from start to finish with him playing in the middle. So
listen, brought a team back from the depths. I would start him today on the Titans if we had him. Heck
100%. 334 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions.
You know what the Jets need? They need a guy like Jameis Winston. They need a locker room guy up there.
There you go.
It's true. Because Aaron Rodgers does nothing but suck the life out of there.
Maybe they should trade Aaron Rodgers for Jameis Winston.
He would retire.
What instantly.
He wouldn't let the trade go through.
By the way, that's my vote as well.
Yeah,
I haven't even heard Jameis
Winston.
I thought you were going to hit me with the Malik Willis, honestly.
No.
Oh. Nah, that's fine. It's whatever. I do like the offensive lineman pick. That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Any other week, I would have picked it. But Jameis. Number one story.
Comeback slayer of the season, baby.
This is all right. I'm gonna find some stuff to share next episode.
Oh boy, here we go.
This is my favorite bit that we're not really doing a bit, but me and Zach just picking a horrible team that's gonna go to the Super Bowl.
I'm about to bet on it.
I already bet $1 on them, so
Imagine Jameis Winston would definitely be the playoff or the comeback if he took his team to the
exactly.
playoffs. Come on.
Gets into the Super Bowl.
Right there, like the
Joe
guy who just got shot. Come on.
Joe Flacco won it last year, so anything's possible.
It's true.
He only played like 6 games.
$1 to pay out $500.
All right, I'm in.
Investment. All right,
That's an investment in your future. Okay, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Fun week in football. We will be back Thursday. We got a big weekend coming up. Things are getting spicy in college and the NFL. Fun week in the NFL as well. So be with us here. We will be back, and we hope you guys have a great week. See you later.